I mean, I'm supposed to be excited, and I am, because we got a lot to get into. Aaron Rodgers to get into, Harden and Simmons to get into, the all-time 75 team to get into, the slam dunk. I mean, I got some videos that I got to show y'all about cats out there that should be in the dunk contest. I ain't letting this go. I ain't letting this go. But needless to say, my mood is a little bit shifted. See, I was in South Beach the last couple of days with the sunshine and the boats going by on Biscayne Bay, chilling near the yachts and all of that stuff in 80-degree weather. Now look outside. See what I'm saying? Life is not always as beautiful as it appears.
Would you start the show?
But I'm here
Let's
anyway.
Go. Soap opera actor.
Don't rush me. Don't rush me, Molly.
This is taking way too long. Let's start the show.
Let's go.
They don't want it with me. You got a problem with me.
After the break, man, it's just go time.
What a shot. Hurry.
Throw it down LeBron. Oh, my goodness. Let's go.
Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take. Why are you making that face?
Hold up.
Hi, Lewis. Hi, Kimberly. He's on one, so I apologize
had to leave
already.
South Beach to come back to gray skies of New York City, and Mr. Chippendales is on the screen, and Kimberly all flossing and everything, like she about to go out with her hubby for Valentine's dinner or something.
She does look beautiful.
Chilling in their cribs and stuff like that, and I am here. What's up, y'all?
What am I? Chopped liver?
You all right? You all right? How you doing, Molly?
I'm here with
How you doing,
you.
Molly? How you doing, Molly?
Good
Stephen
to have
A.
you back, Stephen A.
Yeah,
My
Stephen
goodness.
A,
Diva.
I like the open collar, Stephen A. I like
Yeah,
that.
you know, I
like
decided to rock it
starting to
myself.
incorporate that
He's
a little
doing the
bit.
Louis Riddick.
I decided to rock it myself since I just came from South Beach.
I've
and I
been
still got the
seeing
South
it.
Beach flavor. You see what I'm saying?
I've been seeing that a lot more with you. I've been seeing
Well,
that
it's a couple
lot more.
times. It's a
I
couple
like it.
times, but you are in your house with your shirt buttoned down and all of this other stuff. I mean, it's a different flair. I'm just saying. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Oh, now let's do it. Now you want to rush me? Get
Yes, I am
out
rushing
of
you,
here.
Molly.
Kimberly, you look
Molly
beautiful.
Q.
Lewis, good to
Molly
see you.
Q.
Oh, my
Let's
goodness.
go.
We have so much NBA to get into. Jay Will be here, but we got to start with the latest on you-know-who. Your boy, Aaron Rodgers. What's the deal, Stephen A? A day after he set the sports world in a frenzy about his future following a lengthy IG post, Rodgers joined the Pat McAfee show and attempted to explain it, titled Monday Night Gratitude, which came at the end of a 12-day cleanse called a Panchakarma, during which he spent time in a reflective state, saying there's nothing cryptic about gratitude. Here's Rodgers with more on his future and that looming decision.
The offseason, I feel like, kind of, begins when your season ends on paper, but it really starts to begin once the Super Bowl is over. You start to, think about the next season, and for me, my future. And so there's been, definitely some contemplative days, but I wanted to have meetings with Brian and Russ and Matt, and I would say the meetings were much different than they've been in the past, in a positive way, and that there was some real honest conversations. But I am looking forward to making the decision and moving forward. I think it's best for me, it's best for the team, it's best for all parties involved. Let's just get this behind us.
Okay, so here's the deal. I thought he was gone, Stephen A., and that was his goodbye. And now I don't really know what's happening, what else is new. So can you attempt to break it down for me? Is Rodgers done in Green Bay? You're a bad man.
I believe he's done in Green Bay, but there's a couple of things that I want to point out.
Okay.
What did you describe that? And I need Kimberly, the wonderful Kimberly Martin, and Mr. Chippendales himself, Louis Riddick, up on the screen here. You called that the
Panchakarma. It's Ayurvedic medicine.
Panchakarma. I don't even know how to describe it. Ayurvedic medicine.
Yeah.
That's some nasty stuff right there that Aaron Rodgers has described that he was going on. It's forcing you to throw up. All right, it's inducing diarrhea, and I just saw it up on the screen earlier this morning. I was like, well, damn. I mean, that's the one time me and Dan Graciano were lockstep, marching lockstep. We both were like, oh Lord. I mean, that's a lot. That's just a lot of stuff to reveal in the morning, okay? I understand it happens. I understand we all go, knowing you probably went through it, Molly, because you do everything. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is, I mean, damn. I mean, I don't expect, literally while I'm eating breakfast, y'all.
All it is a cleanse. It's just releasing from your body.
Hold it.
And
Fine.
essentially eating
Fine,
lentils
Molly.
and vegetables.
Fine. But when you're eating breakfast and you see induced vomiting and diarrhea, and you're like, oh God.
Not that
And did we really need to hear that this morning? So that's one point. Number two, that cleanse that he was on, getting rid of all those toxins and all of this other stuff. Guess what? It makes total sense why he sat up there and put that IG post. Talk about reflection. You're through 12 days isolated and putting yourself through that. I'm quite sure there's a whole lot of things going through his damn mind. So it definitely made sense. But in the end, here's what it comes down to. Aaron Rodgers is making news for really close to no reason at all. The only thing we care about, unfortunately, this is not Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He's a bad man. We all know how I feel about him. I think as a talent, he's the greatest quarterback that I've ever seen. I got a lot of love for Aaron Rodgers. My only issue with him was the whole, I'm immunized stuff, which I did not appreciate. Outside of that, I got no issues with Aaron Rodgers. I think he's the greatest talent from the quarterback position. But he is no Tom Brady. He is not a 7-time champion. He is not a winner within. He is not somebody who personifies what a champion is supposed to be, because for the last 11 consecutive years, we watched someone other than him, despite his talent, hoist that Lombardi trophy. And so when I see him making all kinds of news and everybody is, venturing around trying to wonder what the hell he means, let me be very clear. I don't care. Are you staying in Green Bay? And if you're not staying in Green Bay, where are you going? When you make that decision, that warrants news. But the fact that we are sitting here speculating every day about what the hell he's going to do and what's on his mind, I think those things are reserved for champions. Now, he has won a championship, but for the last 11 straight years, with 4 MVP trophies on his docket, okay, he doesn't have a single Super Bowl appearance, let alone a championship to show for it, and he's 0-4 in conference championship games during that span. All of this noise about him is reserved for those who won a hell of a lot more recently than he has. So I'm actually disgusted that these are headlines like, let's stop the presses, let's stop traffic, let's make sure. Pat McAfee deserves lots of props. He's done a damn good show, and he's made a good career for himself, and he's doing a good job, and I'm very fond of Pat McAfee, so this is no knock against him. But we're guaranteed to see him on television on a weekly basis because of Aaron Rodgers' appearances on his show, and I'm sorry, what have you done to earn that? I'm sick of talking about Aaron Rodgers until I find out whether he's staying in Green Bay or what team he's going to. Go ahead, y'all.
Yeah. Look, as funny as it was, the way you put it, as far as his 12-day cleanse and what all that means, and that's a lot of information to be sharing. I don't care what time of day it is, breakfast or not, that's a lot of information. But I tell you this, I agree with you. Look, I think we've all, Stephen A., reached a point where we have what I think many of us would term Aaron Rodgers fatigue about news that isn't really news. It's just talk. And he's aware. And look, I like Aaron. I really do. And I enjoyed the time we spent on Monday Night Football in production meetings talking to him and listening to just how intelligent, reflective, aware of his legacy, of the legacy of his teammates, how much he cared about his teammates, how much he cared about relationships, how much he really cared about trying to win at the highest level. And I respect him for all that. What I am kind of tired about is the fact that, look, there's a lot of business to get to beyond Aaron Rodgers when it comes to the Green Bay Packers. They have a lot of business to tend to, man, concerning their roster as it relates to whether or not he's going to be back there or whether they need to go ahead and move him down the line and trade him somewhere else. so they can get to the business at hand. First and foremost, figuring out what the heck they're going to do at quarterback, whether it's going to be Jordan Love or not, or whether or not they need to go ahead and acquire some kind of veteran. They've got a number of different free agents. They got to tag Devontae Adams. They're almost $50 million over the salary cap. They got to get rid of either Preston Smith or Zadarius Smith or restructure them. You got to re-sign Rasul Douglas. What are you doing with Robert Tonyan? What are you doing? I mean, it's just transaction after transaction after transaction that is newsworthy, that is worthy of discussing, more so than what kind of 12-day cleanse did you just finish? How much reflection are you having about, where you're at right now? Because that all that's doing is it's making us, have us all sitting around on our TVUs going, do we need to talk about Aaron right now? Is he retiring? Is he coming back? Is he not coming back? And he knows this. So let's just take care of business. Let Green Bay take care of their business so that we can get on with the rest of the offseason. Because right now, this does kind of start to feel like a little bit of a circus. That is intentional on his part.
Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is not stupid. Like, he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows we all will tune in to Pat McAfee's show. He knows we will be on First Take discussing him. Heel turn where he's become, in my mind, like the guys I used to warn my friends about in college. Like the guys who are vague. Like, do you want to be here? Do you want to be with her or not? Because if not, leave my girl alone. Like that, I think we've reached that point with Aaron Rodgers. If you want to stay in Green Bay, just say it. If you want to go, just say it. Because Lewis has just laid out all the transactional business that this team has to take care of. And Aaron, like a lot of those guys in college, knows he has the Packers just like all those dudes had those girls where they wanted them, because he knows that this team understands with him they have a chance of competing for a championship. Without him, it seems very bleak in Green Bay, because what we saw from Jordan Love, no disrespect to Jordan Love, he hasn't taken the steps and hasn't been able to take the steps to mature and get better in this role. So we don't know what he is in Green Bay, and the Packers understand that, which is why they're able to continue and participate in the circus. And we all are part of this one-ring circus where Aaron Rodgers is the main attraction, because we know that in Green Bay, they have a shot. And when he leaves, it doesn't look good for them, at least this year.
Stephen A., indulge me for a second here, and I know this is going to shock you because I kind of killed Aaron Rodgers yesterday because it really bothered me, the comment where he said his teammates were the icing on the cake, and I said they should be the cake, the foundation. But I want to defend him here for a moment, because if he's about to make a big decision and he decides, I want to go into a little bit of isolation, I want to reflect, he's on a health journey, a spiritual journey, he wants to make this decision, and he came out of it, and instead of focusing on what he didn't have in terms of winning a championship, he said, look at all the things I do have. And he wanted to thank everybody, give them their flowers in terms of what he's grateful for. I'm actually more so impressed by that, because when I have to make a difficult decision in my life, instead of calling up 800 people, that's not what I do. I also retreat, I shut my phone off, I pray about it, and I take some time, and I need to take a pause, and then I'm like, okay, I don't want to be reactive, you want to be proactive, and I think that's what he did here, and I actually respect it.
Well, first of all, let's be clear. You can respect it from that perspective, which we all should easily do, but still highlight the fact that you know, because of your intellect, what's going to create news and what's going to bring you out of that realm of isolation back into public view. And you didn't come out of the 12 days of isolation and cleansing and said, I'm going to San Fran, or I'm staying in Green Bay. You came out of that period of isolation and told the world, hey, I'm still reflecting. And we just sat up here and said, well, you're smart enough to know that it's going to create news. What we're saying is, okay, well, here's the news. The last time we saw you, you couldn't score 14 points at Lambeau Field in a divisional playoff game when your team was the favorite in the eyes of most aficionados to represent the National Football Conference in Super Bowl 56. That is the memory. We can understand the cleanse. We can understand the spiritual,
reflection, the pause.
Reflection, the pause. We get all of that. Nobody's throwing any shade on that. But once you come back into this realm and you start talking about your future and you're treating it like it needs to be headline news like a soap opera leading into what's Aaron Rodgers going to do? What's Aaron Rodgers going to do? Then we're entitled to say, okay, let's look at what you've done. And the last time we saw you, Jimmy Garoppolo, porn star Jimmy, walked off a Lambeau Field with his hand raised at your expense. And I understand it wasn't him. It was special teams that did most of the damage. Special teams of Green Bay, really, which was ill-prepared all season long, Matt LaFleur. But in the end, it still came down to Aaron Rodgers couldn't get 14 points on the board in a playoff game. And for the 11th consecutive season, he went home. That is not somebody that we should be sitting back here every day talking about, what's Aaron Rodgers going to do? What's Aaron Rodgers going to do? What's Aaron Rodgers going to do? Hell with it. Do it. Do it. That's it.
But we're the ones doing it, so we're the ones falling for the okey doke. Lewis?
We talk about it, but we just said, hey, we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Look, you know what? Look, I don't, Molly. I'm not knocking this process. We all have our processes,
Right.
and you just kind of articulated on your, on your own behalf. Whatever process it is that we all go through to arrive at big decisions, especially decisions that could really change the course of our life and where we're headed next. And people, people have their preferences as far as how they do that. What I'm saying is, though, I think he also understands that coming out of that 12-day state, or however long it is, look, I'm sure he's been reflecting on it for much longer than that. He knows that every time he opens his mouth, especially on a national stage, and talks about what his future is going to look like, or how much he still is undecided as to what his future is going to look like, it's going to make big-time news, and it's going to cause people a lot of uneasiness and a lot of consternation about, look, what exactly is he thinking and what exactly is he going to do? And I think at this point in time, look, if you really are thinking bigger picture, meaning not just about yourself, but about everything else that is going on surrounding all the people that you care about, namely, in this instance, your teammates, then I think, me personally, I would probably keep this very private and keep this internal until I had something very newsworthy to say about what I was going to do. And I would discuss it with those guys, as far as guys like Devontae Adams, guys like Randall Cobb, another guy who's on his football team that he lobbied to bring back, last year, who also carries a big cap number that they may not be able to carry this year, especially if Aaron's not there. There's a lot of things that are right now waiting on his decision that I think I would say, hey, look, I just came out of this time period. I'm going to get with the people who I know this is going to affect materially going forward. And before I say anything, before I go on anybody's show, before I talk about really nothing, I'm going to talk to them first and make sure I have my ducks in a row. Because when it is time for me to say something, trust me, First Take will be there, SportsCenter will be there, NFL Live will be there, every other network will be there, and we will have content from now until August when he decides wherever it is that he's going to play. I would just be more aware of that if I were him.
It's interesting, despite all the talking that he's done, and this is since last offseason. Think about it. Since last offseason, we've been talking about, will he come back? Will he be in Green Bay? People around the league that I speak to aren't even convinced that he will be on another team this year. So as much as he's talked about the fractured relationship early, and now he's saying this week that the relationship is in a much better place with the Green Bay front office, at some point, Aaron has to be honest about, if I want to be here, because everybody thinks if he's not in Green Bay, it'll be Denver. But there's no guarantee that if he goes to Denver that he can not only make the playoffs, make the AFC Championship, make a Super Bowl. Like Green Bay to me makes so much sense to stay. But if you want to be there, the easiest thing would be to wrap this up and let's keep it moving. That's why there's so much doubt, and there shouldn't be doubt if this is where he truly wants to be, his home.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have answers soon. But appreciate the healthy discussion, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have more NFL in just a bit. Some NBA to get into. Jay Williams joining us now. The NBA is about to get real good. James Harden and the dynamic duo of him and MVP frontrunner Joel Embiid are expected to debut this Friday in Minnesota. Harden has not played since February 2nd. Now, the man he was swapped for, Ben Simmons, according to our Ramona Shelburne, he's ramping up for a return. The last time we saw him was in an NBA game was Game 7 of the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Hawks. Stephen A. Hi, Jay.
Hello, Molly.
Who has more to prove, guys? Is it Simmons, or we'll start with you?
No, please. Thank you.
I'm
looking forward to
all these
engaging
pleasantries
you the
are
whole
actually
week.
scaring me.
Nah, he's
The
scared
whole
to
week.
start because he knows I'm going to pick him apart. But go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Good to see you, Jay.
Thank you.
By the way, your dog was here today.
Yes, Denzel Washington.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was a dog
that's my-
running
that's
around
my
the
name,
office,
yeah.
and then
That's
someone
his
told me
name.
that's Denzel Washington's,
You
that's
named
Jay's
a
dog.
dog after Denzel?
Because that's my dog. That's my homie. You know what I mean?
It's a good comeback.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a good comeback. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go with
That's
that.
respect to
I'll go with that.
Denzel.
I'll go with that.
Anyway, your dog,
Training day every day.
Denzel put a smile on my face, so it was nice to see him running down the hallway.
Greatest actor of all time.
Yes.
Who has more to prove? Is it Simmons or Harden, Stephen A?
I respectfully say James Harden. That's where I'm at with it. James Harden departs from Houston the way that he did. James Harden departs from Brooklyn the way that he did. Regardless of what side you take in terms of believing the reports, what has happened over the last 2 years is that James Harden has gotten older. James Harden has gotten bigger. James Harden has had the hamstring injuries. And we know what we saw from him last year as a floor leader when healthy. He was absolutely spectacular. He was one of the leading candidates for league MVP honors. Okay, but now you're playing with Joel Embiid. And because of what Daryl Morey surrendered for you, it's not that, even though I like Seth Curry a lot, and I think that he's a premier three-point shooter, his statistics show that. And Andre Drummond is a rebounder demon, and I get that. It's not about them per se as an isolated player. It's that whoever went to Brooklyn addressed the needs that the Brooklyn Nets had. You need a playmaker. You need a defensive, stalwart. You got Ben Simmons. You need another shooter because you don't know how Joe Harris healthy he's going to be once he gets back. You already got Patty Mills. Of course, with Kyrie and KD as well. You need the shooter. You got Seth Curry. You need a rebounder. You need some girth and additional mass on your front line because Claxton and Johnson and those boys is athletic. But at the same time, you need more mass. You got a big boy like Andre Drummond you can throw in there. That's what the deal is. So considering all that was given up for James Harden, combined with the greatness of Joel Embiid and what those expectations are in Philly, if James Harden is who we know we've seen him be and who we still believe he can be, the bottom line is he still has to go there and prove it because here's the deal. They can't win without him being who we know he can be. You ain't beating Brooklyn, Milwaukee, even Miami if James Harden brings anything less than his A game. You need his A game with Embiid in order to knock those teams off. That's what I'm talking about when I say he has more to prove.
I'm happy I'm here with you today.
Sure.
Because when I'm here, I feel like I raise the level of elevation that you bring to the table.
Well, I would tell you this.
Intellectually. I
just like being in I just like being in the studio with you, my brother. I like being in the studio
but I like
with you,
engaging in competitive
That's
theater.
all right.
That's what we're doing right now. So let me tell you why the question is, who has more to prove?
Yeah.
Ben Simmons has claimed mental instability inside the Philadelphia 76ers organization.
Okay.
So essentially what that means to me is that it's my environment that's not creating the right place for me to achieve the ultimate level of success that I can personally. So what's more to prove? Now that I've gotten what I want, now that I'm out of Philadelphia, out of the likes of Joel Embiid trolling me, not really having my back, Daryl Morey, whatever the reasons are, ownership, whatever it is.
You mentioned right about Embiid.
Yeah.
You know that's how he felt.
Now I am in Brooklyn. Mental health-wise, what is my excuse now? I'm not saying that's an excuse. It's a legit concern.
Right.
But my environment has changed. Now I actually have a chance to flourish. And by the way, I don't think anybody would ever call James Harden a bum. I've heard people call...
I've never said that.
No, not you. I've heard people call Ben Simmons a bum. I've heard people call Ben Simmons soft. Joel Embiid called him actually extra soft. I've seen during the Eastern Conference semifinals where people are questioning whether or not this dude actually loves basketball, likes to even play this sport, because he's not going to shoot a shot. He's not going to take a wide open shot. What would hinder you from being just a respectable player in the game? Don't worry about all the other mental issues. You got to go out there and hoop. You got to go out there and put in work. So all these people have questioned the manhood, essentially, of Ben Simmons when it comes to hooping. So who has more to prove? I know that James Harden can get buckets. I've seen him do it last year before he had the hamstring injury. I know to a degree what James Harden and Joel may be. They may not hit expectations, but who has more to prove? It's the guy who hasn't played basketball in 275 days, Stephen A.
I got you.
That's easy.
I got you.
That's apparent, is it not?
Okay. Well, first of all, you're wrong. But that's
Well,
nothing.
that's subjective.
I'm saying, but that's
You
nothing
can
new.
say I'm wrong, doesn't mean I'm
hold
wrong.
Hold on.
Okay.
You're wrong. But that's nothing new when you're up against me. I understand. All right, so we'll just get this out the way. I would remind you, first of all, anybody who called Ben Simmons a bum should be banned from talking basketball. They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Okay.
Just because he can't shoot. We just watched Dennis Rodman walk up on the podium as an all-time 75th anniversary, all-time, top 75 players in NBA history. We know Dennis Rodman couldn't shoot. He was a rebounder extraordinaire. He was a defender extraordinaire. Those were the two components that elevated Dennis Rodman. So shooting the basketball and scoring buckets isn't the only component that comes with being a successful basketball player. So to call Ben Simmons a bum, whoever that was, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Let's get that out the way. But when you call him mentally soft, you and I won't do that because that's dicey, because then we're diminishing the whole mental health issue. What folks are saying, however, is that they don't believe him when he said it was mental health. They believed he used it as an excuse to ensure that he didn't have to play, but he could still get his money. So when they say that about him, let's make sure we crystallize for our audience. That's what people are talking about when they talk about Ben Simmons. They're basically saying it's not that they're diminishing mental health. They're saying they don't believe he was telling the truth. He has to live with that. We move on from there. And by the way, he didn't help his case because he wasn't on the bench, couldn't be found in Philadelphia. The second he got traded, he was on the bench with the Brooklyn Nets the next game. Chilling, smiling, having a blast.
Everything's different. Everything's
great.
happy now.
Everything's great now. So we get that out the way. But even with all of that being said, Ben Simmons' game is his game. Ben Simmons literally can dribble the ball up the court, push the ball up on a fast break, kick it to Kyrie, kick it to KD, have 5 points a game. But he's a lockdown defender, and Kyrie and KD are exploding, and nobody will say a damn word because that's not what's expected from Ben Simmons. In the case of James Harden, you're going to bring up how he was a no-show against the Spurs in a closeout playoff series, about how he didn't show up to expectations against Golden State. Not one, not two, but on 3 separate occasions. You're going to point out how he was a member of the Houston Rockets when they went up against CP3 in Lob City with the Clippers, and there was a game 6 where the Clippers were en route to advancing to the conference finals for the first time in history, and Houston went on a 49-9 run, something like that, with James Harden on the bench. You're going to think about all of those things, and you're going to say this dude that once averaged 36 a game, that averaged 30 more than a few times a season in his career, that's been one of, if not arguably, one of the most, not even arguably, one of the most prolific scorers in NBA history, but who has come up smaller in the postseason, they're going to say, all right, what you got? Nobody has that expectation of Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons' expectations go out the window, Jay Williams, the second he gets back on the court in Brooklyn. James Harden, the second. Nobody's thinking, once he shows up, your mental issues are over. It's over. But James Harden,
if he doesn't perform, they're not.
I'm saying what people, once he steps on the court, because he wouldn't step on the court in Philly, that's all I'm saying. Once he steps on the court, he's good. James Harden, that's not enough. James Harden can average 20, 10, and 10 in Philly, and people will still say, yo, man, that's all. We used to the cat that score over 30. They need you now. You got to show up with Ben Simmons. Much more pressure is on James Harden. Much more.
You're talking about pressure. That wasn't the question. Who has more to prove? Now, you're talking about team regards. Who's reached their potential? Has James Harden reached his potential? As a scorer, as a prolific, you just said one of the most prolific scorers in the history of the game.
But I'm thinking his potential.
He hasn't reached his potential.
I think he has the potential to be a champion.
In the playoff,
he has not.
I think James Harden is so great, he should be a champion.
Okay, fine. So that's the one missing link for James Harden. Everything else you're fine with, right?
Success,
Playoff success, right? Everything else you're fine.
Yes.
Is Ben Simmons come even close to reaching his potential?
No.
Nowhere close.
No.
Stephen A., James Harden's up here. Ben Simmons had the potential to be up here. Ben Simmons is down here.
Ben Simmons.
So talk about room for improvement.
Let me ask you a
to
question.
change how
I
you
have
look
a
at.
question.
We used to call Ben Simmons a baby. I've heard you say this. He is a baby version of LeBron James.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Look, what is that drop off?
Yes.
LeBron is up here. Ben Simmons is down here, baby.
Time out.
So there's a lot of room for improvement for Ben Simmons,
wait a
and that's the question.
Wait a minute. Where were you on Ben Simmons before the playoff series against Atlanta? Will were you?
I wasn't that high on him.
Really?
No, I still thought there was, whenever I see Ben Simmons, I think Ben Simmons can also be one of the most elite defenders ever to play the game.
He is.
But I think
He was my vote for Defensive Player of the Year last year.
I think offensively, there's something there that stopped him from going next level. And I've seen it in workouts throughout the summer. I've talked to his trainer about it. There's something mentally there that stops him from going to another gear, which I know he has in him. It's just there's a reluctance to have it happen on the court.
It's very, very simple. When you played, you didn't mind being a sniper. You were a dog, and you'd pull up from anywhere. If you are a guy that is petrified of shooting beyond 5 feet from the basket, that limits what you're going to do offensively. Everywhere else, anywhere else that you're on the court, you're looking to defer to another scorer because you're not trying to take that shot. That's the impediment to Ben Simmons' game. Not his ball handling skills, not his playmaking ability, not his athleticism, not his ability to finish at the basket. Ben Simmons is absolutely, positively petrified of shooting the basketball.
You're making my point for me.
But wait a minute. There is nothing else that's missing from his game. What else is missing?
The biggest thing that we're talking about, the thing that you call Michael Jordan the greatest player of all time, because psychologically, mentally, he's head over heels. That's what he's missing. James don't got questions around that.
We were having a conversation about the talent. I understand the head
but that's
a given.
But talent and physicalness, or mental and physical, is all about improvement, though, Stephen.
All I'm saying to you is this: when we talk about something to prove, ain't nobody. Listen, the minute Ben Simmons gets on the court, we're looking at Ben Simmons and we're like this. Okay, he's back. He's back. Okay, let's see what you got. In Harden's case,
that's how you look.
In Harden's case, it's like, yo, Harden got to win the chip, bro. You got Joel Embiid. Harden got to win the chip.
Oh, that's.
You got to win the chip. That's what I'm thinking about.
Okay, like for me.
You want to prove?
No, for me, it's about Ben Simmons getting over that mental hurdle.
Okay. You know,
I know James Harden may not make the shot, but he's going to take the shot. You never questioned about James Harden taking the shot.
Do you know any male versions of Dear Abby? Because when y'all find out who the hell that is, that's what I'm going to call Jay Williams.
Slight.
That's what I'm going to call. Because it's all of that.
There's no. So wait, Molly.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, so wait.
Is it?
So wait.
I got to call Dr. Phil and ask him. I'm going to call Dr. Phil and ask him.
That's how you have to win debates. You have to go to name calling.
No, not at all.
It goes to name calling.
That's not name calling.
You're giving me nicknames.
That's not name
for the public. That's how you have to win a debate.
That's
interesting. Okay.
Excuse me. First of all, I was just having fun, but I really mean it because you're like, I'm going to have a mental health issue. All I'm saying is like, yo, listen.
First off, my voice don't sound like that.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't sound like that. My tonation does not sound like that.
I'm very good at imitating people. Don't get me started. The point that I'm trying to make to you is Joel Embiid is that dude.
Okay.
And if James Harden is, you talk about winning the chip.
Let's do this.
The chip.
Let's do this. They both have things to prove, okay? They both have things to prove.
Right.
Let's carry on. All right, earlier this season, the NBA unveiled its 75th anniversary team. ESPN's expert panel ranked them, and here's what they got. Elgin Baylor checks in at 20, then the logo Jerry West, and two international guys, Giannis at 18, then Dirk, Steph at 16, KD at 12, Shaq at 11. And here's how the top 10 pans out with Kobe, Oscar Robertson, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, Bill Russell, Wilt, Magic, Kareem, and then the top two, LeBron and MJ. All right. Jay Williams, let's go.
All right.
Is
go ahead.
Steph Curry a top 10 player?
So I evaluate Steph Curry with where he is right now.
Okay.
Right now, Steph Curry will definitely crack the top 10 when it's all said and done.
Okay.
The brother is prolific. Can we put up my top 10, please, so everybody can see it? Because I did my own ranking. Now, I factor in personality traits. I factor in people who I think are killers, people who I think are averaging, obviously, all-time NBA. I go MJ, LeBron James, Kobe, Kareem, Magic, Shaq, Tim Duncan, Bill Russell, Larry Bird, and I have KD at number 10. So if that's my top 10, I'm very curious because I think Stephen Curry, when you think about it, when it comes down to it, right? Stephen Curry, 2-time MVP, 6-time All-NBA. Everybody else that's an All-NBA player on this list, they've averaged at least 12.5 times they've been all NBA. Now, I know it's over the longevity of your career, but I also measure you against your contemporaries. Now, I think it's harder for Steph, obviously, because he's playing with the likes of KD and LeBron James, who are both in my top 10, who are playing currently, even though I think the trajectory, he's on his way. But I think Stephen Curry right now, for me, he's around 11, 12. He's barely on the outside looking in, Stephen A. He will crack it, but I think we need to see a little bit more of Steph do things at the level he did last year and this year without Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant got 2 Finals MVPs when they won the chips.
I'm not in a position to disagree. I didn't know you were going to have your top 10 list. Yes. My apologies, because I would have had my own as well.
It's okay.
No big deal.
Well, I like to throw a little wrench at you sometimes.
I like it. Yesterday, let me share with you what I really, really struggled with. And I didn't have the list that they put up of the top 10 players. I need to see that again if y'all can help me out here, because my whole point was this. I said, number one, I thought that Shaq deserved to be in there ahead of Tim Duncan. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yep.
It was hard for me because what do you do with Wilt Chamberlain, who they changed the rules for, but he only had 2 chips, and what I held against Wilt Chamberlain is the fact that Russell got 11. So how does Russell got 11, and that was your number, that was your primary nemesis. It was Wilt against Bill Russell, and Wilt averaged 50 points a game one season, 44 another, and his career 22.9 rebounded per game individual, and all had 100 points in the game. But here was the problem. You went up against Russell, and Russell got 9 more titles than you. So what do I do with that? So I struggled with that. I said I had no problem with MJ number 1. You know that. LeBron James number 2. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar number 3. I'm set on my top 3. Okay? Everything else is up for grabs to me because I think about Magic Johnson, the greatest point guard who ever played basketball.
Kobe Bean Bryant.
I think about Kobe Bean Bryant, who's a 5-time champion, but I also got to think about the 3 he got with Shaq, even though Shaq got the 3 with him. You see what I'm saying? Now, it matters to me that he went away from Shaq and got 2 more and went to 3 straight finals. So I pay attention to that as well. But then I think about Steph Curry. This is the greatest shooter God ever created.
Agreed.
There is no one that is in his stratosphere in terms of shooting the basketball. The brother does have 3 rings. He did go to the finals 5 straight years. And here's where it gets tricky, Jay. Kevin Durant, I don't understand how anybody can leave Kevin Durant off the top 10 because as a talent, I think Kevin Durant is better than Larry Bird.
Agreed.
Okay?
Yes.
He's 6'11". He's a sniper extraordinaire. He's a 2-time champion, 2-time NBA Finals MVP. He's a league MVP. We know how phenomenal Kevin Durant is, and you just get these as a professional scorer. There's no way to guard him.
I even think he's a better scorer than Michael Jordan. Now, people may think I'm crazy, but that's up for debate.
No. I don't. You know what? You can make a legitimate argument about that. It's just that I think about the road to prosperity, which is what I hold against LeBron James in terms of the era that Jordan had to play in and what he had to endure to get to that
That's
point.
fair. Yep.
Doing rules changes and all of that other stuff. And I don't think, and a coach yesterday reminded me of young Lou Alcindor before he became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and how phenomenal he was, and people forget about that too. Here's where it gets tricky with KD. KD all-world. All-world. And he was clearly the best player on the Golden State Warriors team. They don't win back-to-back titles without KD. But does he get a title without them? Point number 1. Point number 2, didn't they win a title before he ever arrived? Yes, they did. So, yeah, Kyrie went down, he got injured, and Kevin Love was out before that. So LeBron was all by his lonesome, that first chip that Golden State beat him at and all of that other stuff. But I'm just saying, these are the kind of questions that everybody throws in there. So I look at the list, and I'm like, it's one of the rare, but I don't have a definitive opinion. I have to sit up here like this, good God, I got to think about this. This is driving me crazy. When I had a vote on the 75 team, because I had a vote, they told me to pick the top 75 players. They didn't tell me to put it in an order.
Okay,
so I never put it in
arbitrarily.
order. I never put it in order.
Well, now you got to put it in order.
And I got to think about it because that's how hard it is. I honestly can't make up my mind. I'm just being confessing
Can we do
about
exercise live?
Sure.
Let's go through your top 10. Let's go through.
I don't know. That's
you
what
don't know
I'm
your
telling
top
you.
10?
No, I know my top 3. I'm iffy on everything else. Kobe, of course, I think Kobe's top 10.
How about top 5? Can you do top 5?
That's even.
Try.
That's.
Just try.
I would tell you, well, we're getting into the Mount Rushmore discussion later. That's why I don't want to reveal that.
Okay.
I want to save that. But I'm just saying, I'm thinking about Magic. I'm thinking about Bird. I'm thinking about Durant. I'm thinking about Steph Curry. And I look at Bird, and I'm like, oh, my God, how do I leave the great Larry Bird out? Oh, my Lord.
Even when
what am I going to do?
I say, even when I go through my list, even if you want to debate about Wilt Chamberlain, I'm like, is Stephen Curry over Wilt Chamberlain?
That's what I'm saying, see?
I can't give him that right now.
I get you.
I can't give him that right now. Maybe in another 3-4 years.
No, listen to what I'm saying.
If they continue to sustain
what
success.
I can give Steph Curry right now is that he's a 3-time champion, 5 straight trips to the finals.
Yes.
All right, a 2-time league MVP, and oh, by the way, the greatest shooter God has ever created. It ain't his fault he ain't 7'1". And
I agree.
When Wilt was playing, he was damn near a foot taller than everybody he was going against. So how do you factor that in? Steph Curry is 6'3". You got bigger, stronger, faster dudes guarding him all the time, and there's nothing they can do about it.
And by the way, has a
dude
top
is
2
ridiculous.
handle in the league.
That's right.
A top 2 handle in the league.
Listen. Steph, do you understand the greatness of Steph Curry from this perspective? Do you understand, Molly? And I know Jay gets this. Steph Curry is a threat the moment he steps past half court. Think about that. If you're a defense, you almost can't do zone. You almost have to extend yourself and go out and guard him, which opens up the floor for everybody else. Because this brother can pull up from 40. 40! He does it all the time. And then the All-Star game, as great as it was to see, you know what made it fun? How he was turning his back before it went in and stuff like that.
Did that go in?
That was the
Did that go in?
best.
Yeah, that went in.
That's all he was doing.
Yeah.
But the actual shot itself, no one was surprised.
But it was shooting from everywhere.
He was shooting from everywhere. But no one was surprised.
No.
This dude pulls up from the logo, and you're going like this. Oh, damn. Oh, damn.
After they boo him, and that's what makes him so great.
So let me ask you this. So Larry Bird is
3-time
MVP.
3-time MVP.
10-time all-time.
3-time champion.
Yep. 3-time champion, member of the 50-49.
Right.
So like I kind of feel
and clutch.
So that brings up a different element of the conversation, right? Because we've seen KD be clutch for the Golden State Warriors. We haven't seen those big moments for Steph to be clutch in the playoffs yet, to a degree that we've seen Larry Bird. So you start trying to replace it, and I'm not doing this, people. I'm not doing this to diminish or minimize.
We're talking greatness. We're just talking greatness.
There are barely elements of levels to this, right?
Like you would say. We've seen those moments from KD. My response to you is I don't recall because KD was so dominant that it didn't even come down to that most of the time. He just took it. Like KD would sit up there and go like this. The team is struggling. Maybe like Fonzie, like when he did in the finals against LeBron and them. Steph and Clay were struggling. I think it was game 3 or 4. KD just looked at them and was like, just give me the ball.
I mean, here's probably last year against the Milwaukee Bucks, what, 49 triple-double?
That's right. I called 50, and he missed the free throw, but I called him for 50 that night. I called that morning, the first thing I called for 50. All I'm just saying is like, damn. And then I think about Isaiah Thomas and stuff like that. Oh, my God, one of the greatest point guards.
We're going to have so much more on this.
Yeah.
So much more on this later. Jay's here. The whole show. Games is the Nets hosting the Celtics. Kyrie won't be playing.
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry. I forgot.
He's just trying to connect the dots for people at home.
I forgot he played.
I see what you're doing.
Oh, my goodness. Kyrie won't be playing in that one with the game being in Brooklyn, but he isn't lacking confidence during a Twitch stream. He said, just watch how our squad comes out of this all-star break. Talk to me, Kyrie. Let's go.
Stephen A., I got some breaking news for you.
You do?
Okay. You ready for this?
I'm always ready.
So I know that when James Harden came to the Brooklyn Nets, he said, scary hours, right? Referencing Drake and what the nights would be and what the days would be for teams. And I just want you to know that, a couple weeks ago, I got a chance to talk to Eric Adams, who is the, now mayor of New York City.
Yes.
And Chris Sommerfeld, who works for the NY Daily News City Hall reporter, just tweeted out, by the way, quote, yes, and I can't wait to get it done. End quote. NYC mayor says when asked if he has a plan for phasing out COVID vaccine mandates for indoor spaces in the city, adds that he foresees an announcement on something related to this in the next few weeks. So I know that the Nets have not played well. I know that things have been challenging for them and that right now they'll probably be in the play-in tournament. But I think that they've added depth with the Ben Simmons trade and a low-key pickup that they had was Goran Dragic. Now, I know people, Goran Dragic with the Spurs got bought out. Okay, you add Goran Dragic with the likes of Patty Mills, with Seth Curry, with the likes of Ben Simmons defensively, with Kevin Durant coming back off his injury. If Kyrie Irving is allowed to play full capacity, the Brooklyn Nets will be the favorite, or they'll be one of the favorites along with the Golden State Warriors to win an NBA championship. And you can say whatever you want about Kyrie Irving's little comments, but if this comes to fruition, it's going to be reality.
I'm going to make you happy for once. I'm usually
You're about to agree with me.
I'm usually not interested in making you happy, but I'll make you happy on this particular instance here. First of all, let's understand something. I didn't need that tweet.
Okay.
You know the day, I didn't need it at all. You know the day that I knew, that I suspected rather, that this mandate is going to be lifted?
When?
Come by the playoffs? When Jay Williams showed up on First Take months ago and told the audience, a national television audience, Joe Tsai, the owner for the Brooklyn Nets, remember Eric Adams, now mayor, former Brooklyn borough president, has a relationship.
I love when you give me flowers. You never give me flowers.
You deserve it where it's due, because I wouldn't think about that. Not at all. And you connected those dots, and obviously you plugged in that regard, and I give you major, major props for that. Nobody brought that up but you. So anytime we talk about the mandate potentially being lifted, assuming Joe Tsai has something to do with it, that the mayor has something to do with it, the first person we should all think about is Jay Williams, period. None of us. It was you. And I expect the mandate to be lifted. I want to say also, as much stuff as I've had to say about Kyrie Irving, and I meant every damn word of every word that uttered out of my mouth, I also made sure to remind everybody he's still getting screwed. Because Kyrie Irving should be allowed to play at the Barclays Center if visitors coming in from out of town can play at the Barclays Center. What kind of damn rule is that? That a visitor, Kyrie could get traded to Philadelphia, could have gotten traded to Philadelphia, and the 76ers come and play at the Barclays Center, and he could play. But as a member of the Brooklyn Nets, he can't play. That makes no sense whatsoever. All in, all out. They should, if players for the Brooklyn Nets or the New York Knicks, all right, if visitors could come and play at the Garden or the Barclays Center, the guys representing those home teams, and that's their home court, they should be allowed to play at the Barclays Center. So I've always felt that Kyrie Irving got screwed over in that regard. Having said all of that, I believe him. I believe you. I don't think anybody in the East can beat a healthy Brooklyn Nets team with KD, Kyrie, Ben Simmons, Patty Mills, Seth Curry, Drummond rebounding the basketball and giving you additional opportunities, at least 4 or 5 offensive rebounds a game, with Claxton and those boys coming off the bench, Cam Thomas and those boys, what he did to my Knicks last week and all that stuff. I got a new suit coming your way. I already know I lost. Don't even worry about it.
We can bet it back. We can double or nothing.
I'm done with the Knicks this season. I'm done with them. I'm not in the mood. But I will tell you this. Back to Kyrie. Yeah, he's right. If he plays. Let's not act like the vaccine or being vaccinated is the only thing that can cause Kyrie Irving not to show up. There's always something. There's always something. There's always something.
Why
I'm just saying, there's always something.
You're becoming petty. You're becoming petty right now.
I'm not a petty guy. I'm not a petty guy.
You're a competitor. What are you talking about?
I'm not a petty guy, not at all. I'm just telling you the truth.
Here you're wrong. That's
Played last
wrong.
year in the playoffs.
Yes, he did until he went down.
Until he got hurt.
Absolutely, he did play, and I do understand that.
Why are you going to
Because
go
I'm
there?
thinking about the fact that the brother has been in the league for about 11 years, and he's only played more than 60 games 4 times. I'm thinking about the fact that the brother took off.
Joel Embiid has only played more than 60 games because he's been injured.
Oh, wait a minute. I also did emotional issues. I also heard you talk about Ben Simmons and his emotional issues, right? And you said we need to be sensitive to that because these things can happen. Hold on, why are you looking at Molly? I'm talking to you. Why are you being
Because he's
disrespectful?
trying
Why you
to-
being disrespectful?
I'm not being
I'm looking right
I'm
at
just
you.
looking at
I'm
how
looking right
you
at
deal
you.
with your
I'm looking right
attitude
at
every
you.
day.
I'm looking
Why
right
are you
at
even
you.
doing
Right
this?
here.
It makes
Turn right here. What I'm saying to you
Jay,
is
I'm a
this.
special person.
Listen.
You are very special.
Listen, whatever. The point that I'm trying to make to y'all is this. And I say it. And even though I say it, you understand what I'm saying? I'm having fun with it. I do mean what I say.
Oh, come on.
You sit in the tunnel and you pray every day that Kyrie Irving gonna be on the bus. He gonna get off the
Get
bus.
outta here.
He gonna get off the bus and he gonna walk into that tunnel, into that arena. Now, when he walk in there, I've been on the record. The brother's a showstopper. He's a superstar. I think he deserves $50 million a year to hold big. The
I know,
brother's big time.
You always say he's big time, and then you.
Am I lying? Am I lying?
What's the probability, in your mind, Stephen A., that you think if he is allowed to play full time? Well, we got 24 games left. We're in the last. People always say, "Oh, the second half of the season after All-Star break." No, it's a sprint. It's a third of the season left.
It's highly unlikely that he'll miss games. Oh. I'm willing to concede that, but I will tell you.
So why?
Because
do you just? Is there something inside of you? You really?
Dr. Phil, what's up? What Dr. J? Dr. J.
Obviously, there's some kind of psychological analysis I need to give you. If you're trying to say, well,
a different type of Dr. J.
There's
a different type of Dr. J.
I like being
called
Dr. J.
I'm gonna call Dr. Phil, and I'm gonna make sure it's all right for him.
I can be Dr. J. Jr. I got no problem with
that. Dr. J. Jr. Okay, Dr. J. Jr. No, the hell with the Jr. Dr. J. retired. Dr. J. No, I'm gonna call you Dr. J. I'm gonna call you Dr. J.
Oh my God, we're debating what nickname. Let's go.
The bottom line, we here.
All I'm asking, is why do you feel the need? I need you to answer this question to people on national TV.
Right.
Why is there something within you that feels a need to always be ready to poo-poo Kyrie Irving?
Well, time out.
Yeah, I'm really curious about this.
That is a loaded question, and I will answer it this way. When you use the word poo-poo, the only person I've known that's ever done that is my brother Rob Parker, but that's a different story for another day.
Stop digressing.
The point is this. There's a whole bunch of people that I do that about. That's why they call.
No.
Oh, yes.
No.
Oh, yes. No.
Steve,
Kyrie is. Time out.
No.
Time out. With all due respect.
No.
Kyrie is recent. I have been on First Take for 10 years. I have a whole bunch of videos that got nothing to do with Kyrie.
Can you remind me who you've been on?
No, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to remind people and then they'll pull it up. You understand? And make memes out of it. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But trust me, everybody knows. It's a whole bunch of people because I call it like I see it. And here's my deal. I'm very big and I'm appalled by you and a lot of other people that I don't believe prioritizes the fans as much as you should. The fact of the matter is regular season games matter too. And when you got cats that have no problem taking games off, have no problem with people walking through the turnstiles, and you ain't even playing and stuff like that, I got a problem with that. I got a huge problem with that. If Kyrie Irving hadn't taken off during the riots at the U.S. Capitol and stuff like that, you wouldn't have heard a word from me. I got a problem with stuff like that. I'm dead serious. I don't like it.
But I haven't condoned that.
And I didn't say you did. I didn't accuse you of that. What I'm saying to you is this. When Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving were out, you know what appalled me? They were still fighting and pushing the Players Association to fight for their money, even though you knew you weren't playing. You made a decision. You chose not to come up to work for whatever reason. And I understand that. But there's a price that comes with that. And they don't want to pay it. I have a problem with that. With any athlete. In any sport, you sign up. This is what nobody forced you. Nobody forced you. We might sit up there when we look at some of the NFL owners sometimes and hear stuff like plantation mentality. We might bring that up. But we know this. We know what time it is. You ain't being forced to play these sports. So when you sit up there and you shove aside your commitment to fan base, do you understand that people in Brooklyn don't get to see Kyrie Irving?
I understand that.
I mean, damn. I'm just saying, damn. And so for me, I speak to that level of frustration, and I'm dead serious about it. I don't like it, and as long as I got this platform where I'm sitting here, I'm going to call cats out. You show up to work. You show up to work.
I'm glad I'm here to combat you on some of those things.
Sure.
As it relates to everything that happened with the Capitol, right? For me, I look at things a little bit more through its complexity.
Cerebral.
Thank you for qualifying.
Go ahead, Dr. J. Go ahead, Dr. J.
Because I think there was a little bit of a conundrum there for Kyrie as to what am I representing. Now, I understand your mentality, and I'm not condoning things that have happened in the past. I mean, I heard you in Big Perk 2 days ago go through the slew of things. I'm actually in agreement with a lot of them. I just think over the past 2 years, there's been a lot that's been going on that's affected people. And there's a part of me that really commends Kyrie for standing up for what he believes in to a degree.
I applaud Kyrie's honesty.
Yes.
Because unlike some other professional athletes, he didn't lie. Okay? I applaud him for that. The flip side to it, however, is there's a whole bunch of people that didn't want to do things just like Kyrie Irving didn't want to do things. There's a whole bunch of people, and I'm not talking about just the vaccine.
I understand that.
There's a whole bunch of people over the years that went through similar circumstances to what Kyrie Irving went through, and they showed up to work.
Okay.
And so for me, when you one of those cats that you are living above the fray and you want to do what you want to do, like, for example, I never accused Kyrie Irving of not working. I knew he was going to come back ready because I knew he was working on his game and his conditioning, even though he wasn't with the team most of the time. But he wants to do what he wants to do, when he wants to do it, under those conditions or whatever, but you got your hand out for somebody else's money. I find that appalling. There are rules and stipulations that come with everything when you got your hand out for somebody else's money.
Okay.
And he's not somebody that wants that to apply to him. And actually spent time, at least in the past, not now, in the past, looking down on people who did.
Sorry, Mom. See, I just wanted to understand where it comes from every time Kyrie Irving's name comes up. I feel the energy rise to a different degree with it. That's all.
But also the energy also rises because you got a lot of people out there. Like, you know what, I'm a sellout. And my attitude is, I ain't a sellout, I'm looking
you're
out.
not that.
I know I'm not a sellout, I'm looking out. Because here's the reality of the situation. Kyrie could get away with it, but let your average person try to get away with something like that and watch what happens to them. So I'm not talking about Kyrie in this. I'm saying the people who condone it,
good we got
they're
this
not
all
looking
out
at
on
the
the
big
table.
picture of how it's going to ultimately hurt all of us when you okay those kind of actions.
But people on a certain threshold of life, Stephen A.
I'm not talking about Kyrie in that.
I know. I'm just saying in general, in certain potential earning bracket can do things a lot of ways that normal people can't do.
But I didn't say that.
I would never tell somebody who has a job who's making $40,000 a year, who's out there busting their ass for everything, to look at Kyrie and say, that's an example you should follow.
That's true, but what I'm saying to you, to answer your question, you wanted to know why my momentum raises when Kyrie comes up.
Fair.
And what I was saying about him or Ben Simmons or anybody else is that part of the reason why my momentum rises is because of fans, viewers, listeners, all of those folks out there who condone such a thing, acting like it's okay for everybody, when most people would not get away with that.
Gentlemen, we're up against it. I let that go because I thought it's an important conversation to have, but we got to go. Plenty more first take. LeBron and Jordan are in pretty much everyone's Mount Rushmores, right? But are they in Stephen A's and Jay Will's, who did and did not make the cut? That's coming up right here, a very live edition of First Take. Yesterday was a major win for the U.S. women's national team and the U.S. Soccer Federation settling a lawsuit of equal pay. The deal ends a contentious 6-year legal battle with players receiving a lump sum payment of $22 million. U.S. Soccer will pay an additional $2 million into an account to benefit the national team players and their post-career goals and charitable efforts related to women's and girls' soccer. It was very important for me to address this, and Stephen A. more than co-signed. This is a seminal moment for not just female athletes, but for women everywhere and in every industry, a huge step towards closing that gender pay gap. So hopefully this will no longer be an issue as we fight for future generations and young girls everywhere. So as a woman, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to the U.S. women's national team for fighting that good fight and eliciting change. This is major, and I am elated to be witnessing history. Kimberly Martin joining us here now. And Kimberly, as a woman in sports, how significant is this?
So it is significant, but I would say it's not just because I'm a woman. Like, I expect Stephen A. to have the same energy. I expect my male counterparts to have the same energy when it comes to this story, and also the producers for all of our shows, right? I think for me, a big battle cry is invest in women. Pay us what we're worth. And I think, as you said, Molly, it goes across every industry because we're all sort of fighting the same fight, fighting for seats at the table. And I thought Megan Rapinoe had a really important point. She said, you know, the legacy of this is that the generations that come behind us will just be able to play. You know, that we break down some doors so that they can just focus on the sport. And in turn, there's a good likelihood that they actually will be better than us. Like, think about this women's national team and the women that we know their names. Like, this isn't, you know, like, we know this women's team in a lot of situations better than the guys. Like, these women are such icons, not just in their sport, but what they've been able to do as far as progressing the conversation, bringing things to the forefront, challenging the status quo. And so, as a woman, I am extremely proud of them and thankful for what they are doing, because in our small ways, in our individual lives, we fight battles on our own. But it's not just about being a woman. Like, I want the dudes to also have that same energy and to also praise them and to recognize when there are discrepancies, when there are inequities, especially when it comes to pay. So the people that you work with, that they take notice of that they have your back, because it's not just a woman's issue. It really is. If we're about diversity, if we're about equality, then everybody has to have that same energy, Molly.
You're absolutely right, Kim. And that's why I sit here today. I don't know whether the word, I appreciate where y'all are coming from in terms of celebrating this moment. Mm-hmm. As a man, I'm both sad and I'm disgusted because we're exposed. Why the hell did it take a lawsuit for this to happen? See, that's really what this comes down to. Just think about this for a second. You had to go to court and sue for millions. You ended up with less than half of what you were suing for, but that's neither here nor there. $24 million. Congrats, to Rapinoe and everybody else. They deserve all the credit, all the affection, all the adulation, all the love in the world. It's a damn shame that it had to come to this. Remember the story we had to do last year sometime when the ladies somebody had to put it on their cell phone to highlight the discrepancy in weight room facilities that were available to the women Olympians compared to the men. The men had a fully loaded gym.
That was egregious,
right? And these ladies had just some dumbbells on the side and nothing else in the same location. So you can't use that gym as women, but the men could use it. You find yourself saying, damn, it's almost incomprehensible how bad it is, how insensitive men who are in leadership positions, some of these men, not all, of course not, but some of these men who are in these leadership positions are so either deaf, dumb, and blind, or so aloof, so dismissive about the elements of fairness. These women should not have had to sue them for this opportunity.
Of course.
For equity. They should not have had to go through this at all. In France in 2019, they had won their second straight World Cup. They're representing your nation. Whatever happened to they're ours. Let's take care of them the way that we would take care of the fellas. What happened to that? We got to go to court. Lawyers got to get hired. Time has to be spent. Negotiations have to take place. And all of this stuff for equity? That is the sad state of affairs. That as a man, I understand the ladies obviously celebrating this, and I'm celebrating it with you as well. But I can't help but feel a bit sour about clearly the men who are in these positions of power that were willing to be dismissive and to diminish what these women's contribution was to our country, to the sport, to equality across the globe. We're a democracy. This is the United States of America we're talking about here. And you were willing to keep these women down and treat them in an inequitable fashion until they took you to court. And this is the new millennium. That's how bad it is. And it just shows you how far we have to go and how there has to be diversity in leadership positions, just like when we're talking about black folks. And you know what? African Americans, diversified leadership positions or what have you. That's why women need to be up in there as well, fighting that fight, because clearly the individuals in charge making these decisions are not going to do it on their own, even in the year 2022. It's a damn shame, but congratulations.
Of course.
Congratulations.
And let's be clear, this isn't just limited to sports. This gender pay gap is in every industry. But I'm not okay with any of it. But I want to celebrate the progress because we did witness history, even if it's unfair what we had to go through to get there. Yesterday was a seminal moment.
And I'm a capitalist. My attitude is you deserve what you earn. Okay? Yeah. If you have that kind of cachet and you know that the ladies are bringing this amount of money to the table, don't cut them short. Don't cut them short. Give them what they deserve. Everybody understands you get what you deserve. If you resonate and you're generating revenue, you deserve what you deserve. If you're not generating revenue, you don't deserve that. But equality should never be an issue we have to fight for in the United States of America, especially, or anywhere else in the world, but especially in this country. It should not happen.
So to Kimberly's point, thank you, Stephen A., for being just as upset and fighting the fight here with us. And also, I loved what you said, Kimberly, in that these women are household names as well, because they absolutely are. This U.S. women's national team, they're complete rock stars. We will leave it there. Oh, one other thing I want to mention, too. That was actually March Madness.
Right.
Those egregious
That's
facilities when we somebody took video and got it on Twitter. At first, I was thinking it was the WNBA, but yes, it was March Madness, and it was appalling. Kimberly, thank you so much for being with us and your perspective. Earlier this season, the NBA unveiled its 75th anniversary team. ESPN's expert panel ranked them, and here's how the top 10 pans out with Kobe, Oscar Robertson, Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, Bill Russell, Wilt, Magic, Kareem. Then the top 2, LeBron and MJ. Jay Will back here with us in the building.
I'm here.
Let's get into the top of this list for each of you. Stephen A. Smith, who is on your NBA Mount Rushmore?
The first 3 choices are easy for me.
Okay.
I've got Michael Jordan. I think he's the greatest of all time. I've got LeBron James. I think he's number 2 all time.
Okay.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one in high school, one in college, went to the pros, ended up being a 6-time champion, a 6-time league MVP, a 19-time All-Star, and the all-time leading scorer in NBA history with over 38,000 points. When I look at that, and not only that, he's the only individual in the history of the sport who's ever had one unstoppable move. Like we saw Jordan with the fadeaway and all of this other stuff. We see Kobe in the J. We see Kobe. We see Steph Curry in his jump shot. But I'm talking about one move. I'm talking about fake, right?
Over the left shoulder.
Over the left shoulder. Everyone knows every single game, and more than 95% of the time, that's how Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is going to shoot. That's the same exact shot that he took for 20 years. He's retired and no one can still stop it. He's retired and no one has still figured out how to stop the skyhook.
Yeah.
It's just nothing to say. And so when you look at it from that perspective, combined with the fact that like Russell and Jim Brown and other cats, he was there with Ali. He was in the heart of the civil rights struggle. He was taking positions and all of that other stuff. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, you're bringing it all. Everything.
No. I'm just saying the adversity. But I noticed the first thing I did was his basketball.
Yeah, I get it. Yep.
But he did all of that in the midst of all of that. That's third. Those are 3 automatics for me. I thought about Russell. I thought about the era that he played in and how it was really just Wilt Chamberlain, and he had a slew of dudes, even though he's the all-time champion with 11 rings. Thought about Kobe. For me, it was Magic Johnson.
Okay.
And here's why. Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard in the history of basketball. I changed my mind on this because once upon a time I had Russell on my list. I changed my mind on this. Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard in NBA history. Magic Johnson made the NBA transcendent. It extended it to another level. It brought it on national television. It was because of Magic in combination with Bird, and more so Magic, because Larry Bird was the hick from French Lick, and he was a white dude that could really, really ball and had mad respect from all the brothers, the players, et cetera, et cetera. But because of what was going on in the NBA at that particular moment in time, brothers weren't allowed in your room now, in your home. They weren't welcomed. You see what I'm saying? Magic changed all of that. That magnetic smile, that personality, and then Showtime basketball. You know what? It was him that helped Kareem. Worthy, Byron Scott, Norm Nixon before that, Michael Cooper coming off the bench. Magic was just a show. I mean, he made the NBA marketable. And if it were not for Magic, what would MJ had what would he have had to inherit? What would Kobe and Shaq and Vince Carter and others had to inherit? Magic did that. And so when I think about what Magic did on the court, when I think about what a champion and a leader he was, and then when I think about the magnetic attraction he made the NBA into being, that's why it was so apropos that even though he was out of the game, that they brought him on to be a part of the dream team in Barcelona, because you knew there would have never been an NBA in Barcelona if it wasn't for what Magic did for the NBA. And that's where my list comes into play.
See, I hate this argument because what we're doing right now is we're talking about the upper elite, the pantheon of the greatest to ever do it. So I feel like if you don't pick somebody, it diminishes, and I don't think that's the case, right? So I just want to pay respect to everybody's name who's even mentioned in this breath.
That's right.
For the Mount Rushmore of basketball players. So I am in alignment with you with MJ, LeBron, and Magic. Even though I disagree with you, I would have LeBron James as the #1 player of all time. And that's fine. That's a debate for another day.
We ain't doing
that. And I've been sitting, I will die on that hill.
And so will I about MJ. Compared to LeBron, absolutely.
I don't want to change this argument, but that's, so LeBron, MJ.
Right.
Can we put up my list, please, so we can see it? And then when you get into Magic, but I have Kobe beating Bryant. And the reason why I have Kobe beating Bryant, 5 rings in 7 finals appearances. 5 NBA titles. Now, in order to break down Kareem, because all the stats that you threw out there, Stephen A., were off the charts. 5 of those rings, he won of the 6. He had Magic Johnson on his team.
That's true.
Okay, 5.
3 of Kobe's were with Shaq.
Yep. The other 2 were not by himself. Let me get to my point now. 5, and by the way, the addition, James Worthy, top 50 greatest player of all time, got Finals MVP in one of those, right? So that team, I feel like it doesn't diminish Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, incredible, but still stacked teams, right? I get it. Michael Jordan got one with Scottie Pippen, top 50 greatest player of all time, right? All of his rings. Same with Kareem, with the exception of 1. Then I go to Kobe beating Bryant, and I start saying, okay, got 3 with Shaq, but he got 2 on his own now. Now, he had that with Paul Gasol. He had some other really talented Andrew. But like, think about the breadth, and Paul Gasol is a bad boy. He's a heck of a player. But think about the levels to this, right? We're saying Magic, James Worthy, Kareem. We're saying Scottie Pippen, MJ. I think Paul Gasol, he's not in that level. He's here. He's still really good, but he's not in that upper pantheon as it relates to players. So for me, and Magic's in that conversation too. Magic's on my list. I give Kobe that slight edge. Now, I know the rings, all that, MVPs, all that might be different because I think that's a reflection of times and his contemporaries. But I have Kobe in my top 4 Mount Rushmore players of all time.
Couple of things. When we talk about giving cats respect, even though we wouldn't put him on the Mount Rushmore, let's give Isaiah Thomas
1,000%.
One of the greatest. Michael Jordan himself calls Isaiah Thomas the 2nd greatest point guard in the history of basketball.
I'm with you.
And Isaiah Thomas, to his credit, beat most of the people that we're talking about him going against
he did.
with inferior players as well. We left him off the list. Okay? So, again, your point is valid, but the point is there were other people. Kobe ain't the only one suffering from being off some people's list. There are others like Isaiah Thomas and others that can make that same argument in terms of what they won. They had lesser talent than the guys that we mentioned, et cetera, and they're not being recognized. So that's number 1. Number 2, what would Shaq and Kobe have done together? I think we all know what they would have done. At least a few more rings. Kobe has something to do with that separation. I love my brother. God rest his wonderful soul. I told him this to his face. He got something to do with that. He got something to do with the separation that him and Shaq had, and he did it for his reasons, et cetera, et cetera. We respect that, but that's a fact. Now, we also got to take into account, let's look at the league for a quick second here. When you were Kobe, and you went to those three finals, and you won the chip, well, you beat Orlando. Dwight Howard, I'm trying to remember who the hell, Jameer Nelson, a few other guys that was on. You beat them, okay? LeBron and Cleveland weren't ready. They got taken out by Tito Turkoglu and all of those boys. The white, LeBron and them lost to them. Boston comes down the pike, okay? You lost to them beforehand in 2008. That's KG, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, Rondo's first year together, okay? Really, the only other team you have to concern yourself with was San Antonio. If we think about it. I mean, I know Dallas
was a
was in the mix.
dynasty.
I know Dallas was in the mix with Dirk Nowitzki, but it was Dirk Nowitzki and Jason Terry and Age and Jason Kidd, stuff like that. You looked at Tim Duncan, you looked at Manu Ginobili, you looked at Tony Parker and those guys. So what I'm trying to say to you is that when we think about the league and what Jordan had to go through, when we think about what Magic had to go through, I mean, we got to take that into consideration,
I agree.
too.
But is there something to be said that the fact that Magic, James Worthy, and Kareem were all on the same team?
Yeah, but there is something more to be said about the fact that you're in L.A., which has tremendous distractions. and somehow, some way, Magic dominates a decade. A decade.
Yes.
So when I'm looking at Magic and I'm thinking about what he brought to the table, okay, I'm sitting there going like this. You make a very compelling argument to easily elevate Kobe to the top 10. But what I'm saying is when you talk about Magic and Kobe on your Mount Rushmore, that top 4, we gonna leave out Kareem for both of them? For both of them? I mean, somebody got to sacrifice, Jay.
I know that's what makes this thing so hard.
That's right. Somebody got to sacrifice, Jay. You can't have both of them ahead of Kareem. Well, one of them, yeah, but not both. Not both. And that's where I think you lose your argument because of Kareem. I can't put both of them over Kareem.
Take out any order. I'm just saying.
I'm not talking about order. I'm saying that you got 4.
I know.
You got 4 spots. You're not moving MJ and LeBron, right? And so the point is.
We have 2 slots left.
I'm saying you got Magic, Kobe. You can't take both of them ahead of Kareem.
First off,
both of them?
What's it say about 4 out of 5 players we're talking about are Lakers?
Yeah.
Wow.
It says they love LA. Because they were also, other than Kobe, I mean, Magic and Kobe were there.
What's not to love about LA? I'm sorry that you were not out there for the Super Bowl. I sincerely apologize to you about that because I know it was very painful, but you had to do NBA Countdown. You did your job. You did well. I just want to tell you that from a fan perspective, since you said the fans' opinion matter. I just want to tell you that as a fan. Anyway, back to my point. It's just, there's something about the fact that Magic got him and James Worthy apart 5 of those 6 championships with Kareem, and Magic's in that conversation. He's on the Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
I know it doesn't diminish.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this question.
Regardless of how Kobe and Shaq broke up, Kobe still got one on his own without
Then
Shaq.
why did you take Magic off and put Kareem there? I said one. I didn't tell you which one. I said both of them cannot be ahead of Kareem with Kareem's basketball resume. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Both of them can't be. Magic won a national title at Michigan State. I understand that. Kobe didn't go to college. He went straight to the pros. He would have went to Duke.
He would have went to Duke.
Please help me.
I don't know. Kareem, I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying. You can't do
Magic, I don't know what to pick.
You can't find a basketball aficionado that
You know
would
what
put
you do?
both of them ahead of Kareem.
You know what you
They
do when
pick
you're
one of
making
them,
a
but not both.
difficult decision? You go with your first choice. You go with your visceral reaction.
I gotta go with Magic. I mean,
so what was your first choice? When initially if I said, give me your top 5 right now, what comes to mind? That's your top 5. It's not when you're hemming and hawing and thinking about reasoning.
I mean, my top 5 is just that. I mean, it's Magic. It's Michael, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, and Kobe.
Okay, so own it.
It's top 5, but we're
your chest
it's
out.
4,
Feel
though.
good about it. Don't let him sway you.
I know, but it's the 4.
It's a beautiful. You can't change the argument, Molly, because there's only 4 Mount Rushmore.
It's 4.
No. But I'm not getting on you. I understand your troubles. I really do. What I'm saying to you is this. I'm simply asking, and I got my man, my brother Michael Thompson, Klay Thompson's daddy that works for us at ESPN. No, that he's a Wilt Chamberlain lover and all. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. But it's only 2 chips. I'm holding that against Wilt. Here's the deal. Again, I'm not asking you which one. I'm simply asking you as a former National Player of the Year, a baller. I'm simply asking the question, can you justifiably leave 2 or put 2 guys on the list that are Lakers ahead of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Can you do that?
That's what makes it so
Can you do that? You can't do that. You got to pick one. I don't care which one. You got to pick one.
I need to go back to something earlier because we kind of glossed over it because I didn't want to interrupt the debate. You have LeBron as your greatest of all time. Is that what you said? Over Michael Jordan?
Yes, I do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay. We'll do that another day.
Yes.
Wow.
He knows this.
Michael Thompson.
I've said this.
Michael Thompson. I remember Wilt, but he's a Kareem fan.
Is he coming at you right now?
No, he's not coming. He just texted me. But he's a Kareem fan too. All I'm saying to you is this: 19-time All-Star.
I know.
All-time leading scorer. The only player
in the history of basketball with one definitive move he did 95% of the time that nobody could stop. And on top of it all, 6-time champion, 6-time league MVP. I'm just saying, I can't leave Kareem off for both of them.
I have to admit to you, Stephen A., I am infatuated with Kobe Bryant.
Okay.
That probably factored into my
Then take off Magic. Then take off Magic.
I can't.
See what I'm saying?
I can't do that. No, I can't.
So,
That's showtime.
Right.
I
got it.
I can't look you in the eye as a real basketball hooper,
Fair,
man.
though. We all have our people.
All I'm trying to say to you is Magic and Kobe.
You got to pick one.
We'll go like this.
That damn resume of Kareem.
Man,
Shaq.
the resume is
Shaq is as confident as anybody you'll ever find in his basketball prowess and his stature within the game. He would defer to Kareem.
Yeah.
He's never put himself against Kareem.
Okay.
It's Kareem.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm just like, somebody got to come off.
You're right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so torn.
We're out of time. When we come back
I
on
am too.
First Take, do you remember when the slam dunk